What's up YouTube? I'm just another guy and welcome to my Parks to Premier League here with Billericay Town FC. So we're going to jump straight into this. We're going to go into the transfers. We've entered January just a little bit, so a few transfers have come in and out. We'll go to the outs first. We only currently made one change, which is Craig Williams has left for 7.5 million to Stoke. The 25-year-old, had a great career with us. 4 years, really. I guess you could say we made him the player who he is. Newcastle, okay, had him for a long time. But it wasn't until we came to us that, he made a name for himself. He got the Welsh international caps and things like that. But this season, I decided I wanted to give my youngsters the chance. I now, of course, Salazar. I now have John Salazar, Rodriguez. I've got a lot of good midfielders at the side that I feel can either, are already or can grow into a better player than Craig Williams is. So, I decided it was time that he could move on. 7.5 million is a very good bit of money to pick up, considering he was a free transfer 4 years ago, or 3 years ago, really, 3.5. So, overall, I think this is a good transfer. Good time to let him leave, allow him to leave. Stoke, maybe letting him go to Stoke isn't the best decision, considering they are, competing for us in the positions. But, I don't really mind that. I just wanted to get him off my book, so that way at least he didn't become, disappointed, angry, disrupt the side. I could just let him go for a good bit of money. So the ins, this is the more important side. Again, we decided to splash cash on the youngsters, Drazen Bergman and Claudio McName. 2 signings and 16 million for Claudio McName. I'll go to that one in a second, but first we'll go to Bergman. 18 years old, Croatian, under 21 international, coming from, who's it, Dynamo? Dynamo? It's just Dynamo. I thought it was, I don't name after it, but never mind. Dynamo, 1.1 million. I think this is a great, really good signing. 1.1 million, 5-star potential. He can become backup. He's currently our 5th choice centre back behind Andre Bruno and, Francisco Xavier Shakuro and Mendia. But, this guy's great potential ahead of him. The fact he is a few years younger than the others as well means that, he can always be here for an option. I think we now got 4 great midfielders, excluding 4 great defenders, excluding Andre Bruno, that can be here for a long time. So, and especially when you look at his stats of like 18 determination and 14 work rate, I think he's got the stats in him already to really become a great player. So looking forward to see how this guy develops. Next one was 16 million. These two were already pre-arranged before January, but 16 million was a lot of money to spend. And looking at it now, even though it's just a few days after the transfer, I think 16 million was a bit too much to spend on McName. A lot of this is over, 48 months, clauses, things like that, but still it's a lot of money to spend on a player. 18 years of age, 4.5-star Claudio McName. Coming in from Coventry, he's got currently a 1.5-star current ability with 4.5-star potential. So, letting Williams leave does pay a bit of money for this transfer. But then Salazar was a lot of money as well. This guy got some very nice stats in him, determination of 19, work rate 30. Which means he has the mental stats to help him develop. But also that he's a pretty well-rounded player, a lot of his stats are already, that would be important anyway, already over 10. Most of them over 12 and 13, really. Although, like I said, the money I spent was probably a ridiculous amount. Considering Coventry only signed him this season for 90k, my scouts clearly don't scout Ireland enough. I decided I really wanted him, and 16 million with the price Coventry, really I shouldn't have accepted that. I should have said nothing more than a set price, but I didn't. I was willing to go that little bit extra step. Like I say, look, Forsyth, it was probably a bit too much to spend on it. Consider, especially when you look at like of Salazar, I spent a little bit of money little less money on him. He's currently 4.5-star potential. When you look at the likes of even Bergman, 1.1 million 5-star potential, I need to be looking at, maybe English sides aren't the best sides to be, trying to compete with, or top European sides for their youngsters, considering the fact that they will ask for a lot of money because they may have the chance of, facing them or, maybe changing a result in the future. So those are the transfers. 48 million is currently spent. There may be a few more I've yet to decide, and 24.5 million has been brought in by the side. Again, there still be a few more I don't really know yet. Clauses, I'll go into the clauses of McName because I feel like it could be important. He's 5 clauses. He's got 3 million after 10 international games, which is for Ireland. I expect him to get that, so 3 million will be paid at some point. 50k per game over the next 48 games. 2.5 million after he scores 50 league goals. I doubt he'll get that as a player, as a midfielder, but if he does, Coventry will get the funds. 30% of the next profit will be going to Coventry. I wonder if I can get a profit. It says signed for 8 million. That's because another 8 million is over, clauses, like I said. But still, I wonder if I can make a profit out of this guy if I were to decide to sell him on, or whether I'll end up keeping him for the rest of his career, and then Coventry will be owed, just less than 85k a month for the next 4 years. So, Those are the transfers, like I say, only a few. They haven't really, been given too much time either. So we'll just jump to the league table, and over this next section of games, we've currently played 20 matches, and we currently sit in third. A very, very close title race, which includes us. So, really great season. I think this season as a whole is going to be very tight. A lot of people are losing games, a lot of people are slipping up. Arsenal City, running away with it seemed like. We are pretty close to them, but we've lost, 6 games, which means I feel that, we lose too many games to really be considered in this title race, but we're up there. We are still with that chance, 5 points behind Arsenal, playing the same amount of games. City, if they win their game in hand, they go top, obviously. And then we are adding on to 7 points behind the title leaders, but still, we're in a great position to get Champions League football yet again, and maybe even get into the group stage automatically this side. Of course, we're in the Europa League knockout rounds this season, so, maybe that experience there can help us push on to the Champions League next year. Looking at the league table, 12 wins, 2 draws, and 6 losses. Like I said, losing too many games, not really picking up enough points overall. I think, we need to obviously lose less games and pick up a few more draws where we can. Scoring 35 goals, where's that compared to the league? Very up there. So, we score enough goals. Goals against, we conceded too many goals this season. Not really sure why either. The defense is pretty much the same players. Maybe, attacks are just becoming better. I don't know. It's not a worrying concern right now because we've got a good goal difference. Was this the fourth best in the league? Obviously we're doing something right. So we're going to pass positions. We'll have a look at this halfway through the seasons now instead of every quarter. So this half the season, obviously, we didn't have the best, first couple of games. We were building up. The first game was a defeat. From that point on, we're always catching. But we've steadily grown. We're steadily going up there. Obviously, after the past few games, we've been on a bit of a run, which has helped us get up to third. Hopefully, we can maintain third now, maybe pinpoint between third, second, and fourth. Of course, I'd like to get first, but I still think, realistically, we're a few years away from that. So, but about where we are right now, it's a great, we're progressing. Third would be an amazing achievement. So we'll jump to these fixtures. So, last time I met you was after the Madrid game, we were 5-2, and we knew at that point that we were going to be playing Europa League football after Christmas. So following that, we beat Hull City 2-1. David and Karamin picking up 2 goals, overturning a 1-0 half-time. I think it was half-time scoreline. Where can you find the half-time score? I can't actually see that. Let me put up the whole to do the ratings as well. There we go. So we overturned a 1-goal, scoreline at half-time. So in the end, the Karamin's 80th minute strike was enough to separate us separates us and give us all 3 points really, which is important. Francisco Arevado, difficult to get his surname out. Ex-player of ours, ex-goalkeeper of ours. So whenever we play him, I do like to beat him obviously, because then some blame does go on the keeper whenever they lose a game, especially with 2 goals. You see Karamin breaking through the defence, not much support for the goalkeeper, and just slots it home. Pretty simple. Finished there in a pretty simple victory in the end. After that, we faced Stoke. This was an important game because they're around us in the table. Like I said, they're currently 4th. They're going to be challenging us for Champions League football this season. So it was really important that we walked away with this result with at least a point. Sadly, we didn't in the end. 43rd minute goal for Stoke, giving them the 1-0 victory that they of course really wanted. Finish off the Champions League group stages, we lost 1-0 to Roma, just swiftly move on, it doesn't really matter too much, but overall wrapping up the group stages, we finished 3rd, 4 points ahead of Olympiacos, and, 7 points behind Roma and Real Madrid, so definitely want to be improving on that next season if we can get Champions League football. Following the Roma game, we faced West Ham. We lost 3-2 to them, away from home. It's going to be a difficult game going to, Blow Ground. I have no idea whether they've moved stadium or not. I don't really care either. But of course, it's always going to be difficult going away to West Ham. And the 93rd minute goal ended up preventing us getting a point. So again, this is a great example of a place where it easily could have been 1 point, but it ended up being 0. It's definitely a point lost, and then we didn't deserve to win it. Of course, we didn't deserve to win it. Actually, looking at the match stats, but still, we deserved at least to walk away with a point, especially so close to the end of the game, and really, I guess, lackluster defending, really just lackluster performances from a few players as well, ended up costing us a point. Moving on from that, we faced Southampton, a game I would expect to win. Southampton aren't the greatest team, and we did. We won it quite comfortably in the end as well. Jefferson picking up a double, and Ruben Diego Jimenez scoring. Was this his first goal for the side? I think it is his first goal. We'll have a look at his first ever goal for Billericay then. Why not? The youngster, of course, right attacking mid. End up coming off for David Ashley, and I think I moved Brooks over. That's my normal thing, if Jimenez is on the bench. I'll move Brooks over to the left side, keep Jimenez on the right, and keep him training up on the right side of the pitch where it's his natural position. You see, there you go, he is on the right currently. Picks the ball quite deep in his half, takes a thunderous bolt of a shot from very far out, and scores against Southampton. And now we went to Newcastle, we went up north this time, and we beat Newcastle 3-1, at St James's Park. Jefferson picking up another hat-trick this season. That's his third so far this season alone. So, he's been very good up front. I've given him more game time than I have previously the past few years, and it really is paying off. 3 goals, 3 hat-tricks this season so far. Obviously, he knows where to find the back of the net, and he's a natural-born goal scorer. 2 people got sent off in this game as well. This was poor. Salazar with a straight red. This is his second sending off of the season, and David getting his first of sending off in his career as well. Of course, that was going to make the task more difficult, but we managed to hold out to the end of the game, conceding only 1 goal after the second sending off. So overall, showing a good defensive display to keep it at least 1 goal conceded against Newcastle. Following the Newcastle game, we faced Burnley, and this time we lost 2-1 to Burnley. Now, surprisingly, we struggled against Burnley. They have beaten us a few times in the past, so I don't know whether to call them a bogey team, because of course we do beat them our fair share as well, but we were given a lead very early on with Bruno Henrique after the 3rd minute, but it wasn't until this guy come on. Where is he from? Serbia? I think that's Serbians. Yep, Serbia. It wasn't until the Serbian striker come on and bagged 2 goals in the last 17 minutes of the game to give Burnley the win. So again, last 17 minutes, last 20 minutes of the match, seemed just fall asleep defensively and cost us all 3 points. So another poor performance there to add to this list so far. Following the Burnley game, we faced Ipswich and we won 2-1. This time, Ben Williams' last ever goal, I think, for the club. I don't think he scores again. Nope, yeah, Ben Williams' last ever goal for the club, which is a penalty. Penalty gives us all 3 points, and especially after the Ipswich got a penalty in the 42nd minute. It seemed like the referee was evening out a little, giving us a penalty, giving us our chance to, give back a victory that I think we deserved. And yeah, Craig Williams scored it and gave us all 3 points. It was a nice win as well. A couple of rotated players in the side, including Marcus Spinner and Gajos, and just giving a few players a couple of minutes on the pitch, a game or 2 where I can. The reason I did that though is because of this Man City game, the quarterfinal with the Capital One Cup. This is the latest time we've got it since all them years back. I think it's 4 or 5 years back since the Championship time, wasn't it? Actually, we got there in the Premier League, a year later, but, it's been a long time since we've been at the quarterfinal World Cup, when the Capital One Cup anyway, and then we got quite far in the FA Cup before. So it was an important match, and I really wanted to win it, and sadly, Man City away from home, it was always going to be a tough game. We were always going to have to defend, do our best, really, play 110% of the time. Marcos Spinner playing it again, because of an injury to the, Ipagwe. So in the end of the game, 3-1 was the scoreline. In the end, we were just powerless to Man City. They overpowered us, they dominated us, and they thoroughly deserved their victory. So, disappointing not to progress in the Capital One Cup. Yes, of course, who's left in this competition? Everton, Newcastle, Gillingham, and City. Really, all the, Tottenham, Liverpool, the other 2 big boys, really, if you want to call them that, getting knocked out. I think the top competition is City's for the taking now. If they don't win it, I'd say, obviously, it's been a bit of a giant killing somewhere along the line. So, disappointing to get knocked out of the cup, but City are a better team than us, so sometimes you just have to accept it. Then came 2 Tottenham games in a row due to postponement and things like that, and etc, etc. We got another one with Liverpool a bit later on. We had to face them basically twice in the space of a week. So first time round was away from home. We drew 0-0, which was a great result. Really, Tottenham away from home is a difficult place to go to, and it gave me confidence going into the next game as well. Because of course, if they're struggling to score against us at home, I doubt they'll do it away. So when away from home did come, they did manage to score, but we managed to outscore them ourselves. 3 goals from 2 centre-backs, all 3 of them from set pieces. So in the end, 2 games against Tottenham, 4 points picked up. Really, Tottenham will be gutted with that. But these Cellar games, these past, 9 Cellar League games. It's been disappointing. I think we've lost way too many games against teams, we could have easily picked up points against. I think the Burnley game, we could have won. The Stoke game we could have drawn, and the West Ham game we definitely should have drawn. So, pretty much all the league defeats here, the ones that I really care about in a way, because the league is the most important to me currently. I mean, Capital One Cup, like I said, I would have loved to have got through, but losing to it, don't really care. Capital One Cup, Champions League, that was already over. So the games that really matter to me, the league defeats, could have easily have been 3 more points picked up. And when does that put us with 3 additional points? That puts us 1 point behind City and 2 points behind Arsenal, and that puts us in a different a much better position. So obviously, this next half of the season, we need to improve upon, improve our, last 20 minutes of the game. Just improve how we end our games, and we'll definitely be picking up more points. Something else to point out: the Europa League draw was made. Hull, City, Tottenham, Liverpool, who else? Arsenal, and us are all the English teams getting through to this stage. Arsenal were in the Champions League, I believe. If I'm not, they were in the Champions League. No, they were in Europa League. Sorry, my bad. Oh yeah, they of course, they didn't get it last year. All four of the teams basically were in Europa League, made it through to the knockout rounds, and we were the only Champions League team from England to be knocked out into this competition. So obviously, we're going to want to go as far as we can in this. Realistically, being knocked out of the Champions League gives us the best possibility for winning this because, theoretically, we're a better team in this competition. We should really, perform better and be better than most of the teams in this competition and have the possibility of winning it. So I want to go as far as I can in this. It's at the Imtech Arena, which I believe is Schalke's stadium. Where is Schalke? I'm pretty sure I just saw them. I guess I didn't. I'm pretty sure it's Schalke Stadium, or a German stadium at least. So hopefully we can go there and actually get to the final. That'd be amazing. But there are a lot of great teams in this competition, of course. AC Milan, of course, the English teams are always going to be a threat. Ajax, Dortmund, Atletico Bilbao, if they can beat Hull, of course, then Dortmund, if they can beat Tottenham, Atletico Madrid. There are a lot of great teams we're going to have to beat if we want to progress far in this competition. But I have hope that we can do that. I believe we can. So let's go into the awards now and go through what we normally do, go through the awards of our team. So, goal of the month, currently Alan Brooks picks it up for his Ipswich goal. We'll have a look at that actually right now. The Ipswich game, Alan Brooks' 5th minute goal. I guess we have to click into it. So is this goal really worthy of winning goal of the month? In my eyes, let's have a look. This is of course going to be biased considering the only goals I see are the goals against and for me. He apparently was sensational in this game. So he beats one player down the right. He beats a second. Poor defending, really. Cuts into the left, into the box. And the shot. So really, it was a great build-up play. Finish wasn't amazing. Goal of the month, maybe. I don't know. I prefer, me personally, I prefer screamers than, fancy dribbling and things like that. So manager of the month, do we manage to pick it up yet again? Sadly, no. Were we even in it? I don't think so. So, as it shows, the past few months haven't been as great as the first few. Player of the month, again, I don't believe any of our players have actually picked it up. So again, reflecting on how the team's played these past few months, player of the month, we actually did pick it up. Jefferson picking it up. For us, there you see the 21-year-old Brazilian, 6 goals and 6 appearances for December. He's actually really stepped up amazingly since I've played him, and his stats are incredible. He's got 19 his technical stats are amazing, really. I won't go through them all. But, I decided to give him, more first team appearances. The past few years, he's always been a substitute guy, the guy I can call on. Well, not really call on in. I know he'll score, but the guy that was always on the bench that I'd always bring on. But this season, I've given him a lot more game time, really. I'd consider him my first choice striker this season, and it really has paid off with his average rating, of course, 7.4 and 11 goals so far. He's obviously going to be at his highest tally this season. So, he's really stepped up well this year, Jefferson. I swear, Jefferson came second in November, and I'm pretty sure I missed one, did I? I didn't actually. So, yeah, those are the awards. Obviously, Jefferson, the only one really standing out there. We're going to match stats and, we're going to player stats and have a look at this. So, Jefferson is currently 5th in top goal scorer in the league, 9 goals behind the City player, Akbultu, whatever you say. So I doubt he'll really get top goal scorer. John Salazar, top red cards. Ha! That's an amazing stat to have. I don't really want that stat. Hopefully he's young and that will just grow out of him with time. Jefferson with the most shots on target ratio. That's a good stat to have as a striker. I know most of his shots are gonna at least cause some sort of trouble to the goalkeeper. And Joshua Mendia picking up 4th for the top most man of the match awards. So, obviously he's adapting well back in the Premier League for the second time in his career. Having been here before, of course, with us on loan, he's played very well so far this season. So, that's really it. We could look at our players, but, I like to do that at the end of the season. Currently, Pagwe is injured, along with Bruno Enrique. A couple of players have been giving a bit more opportunities. McName's made 2 appearances so far, so I'm giving him first team football. Along with David, he's done his 14 league appearances so far. His average match rating has not been great, but it's more important to me right now just to give him as much game time as I can. Financially, we are not doing too great. We're currently 7 million in the red, and I expect that to continue to fall. Okay, the projected is 6 million, but we make a loss every month, and we're not going to change that in the course of a month. Transfers, we lose 3 million. That's pretty much the whole of our profit loss. But even if you take out the net transfer spent this month alone, even last month really, you'll see that we're still 3 million. We'd still be 3 million in the reds each month. So it's not great. It's not really great, our financial situation. Even with Champions League football, it hasn't helped too much. I just think the squad, the stadium can't support what we pay in our wages, 1.5 million per week now. The stadium's too small to support that. Even with with ticket prices like £43 a ticket, even if we sell 16,000, whatever our capacity stadium is exactly, it's not going to be able to enough to support each weekly wage and bonuses and things like that. So really, we're not in a great situation as a club, and the only way we're going to improve that is if we build a new stadium. But I can't do that because our stadium has been built in the past 20 years, and you can only build a stadium every 20 years. So, we're in a sticky situation basically. We're stuck between a rock and a hard place financially. So I think that's pretty much going to be it. I don't think there have been any real landmarks so far. Facility-wise, nothing has really changed. We're still pretty average, adequate. Really nothing amazing. Anything really changed on this screen? I don't think so. Andre Bruno was added to the icons list. I'm not sure if that was there before. Apart from that, Luis Alberto Shakura and Andre Karamin, have been added to the favorite personnel list. And really, I think that is it. I think that's it for this episode. So meet me back next time, guys. 3/4 of the way through the season. That'll be what is that? That's about 28, 29 games gone into the season, where hopefully we can still be in this great position. Maybe we'll even catch up the likes of Arsenal and City, but of course only time will tell. So until then, peace out.